It is the end of the Third Crusade, and it's obvious that this war is not going to end with a clear victor and will most likely end at the negotiation table. So in a desperate attempt, Saladin takes his army from the holy city of Jerusalem and commences a surprise attack on the Crusader-controlled city of Jaffa. Now, the reason he's attacking this city is because Richard I of England is away at Acre, and he believes this is going to give him a chance to seize territory and give him the edge at the negotiation table. So the defenders and the inhabitants of the city have no other choice but to stand their ground and fight. But luckily for them, Richard I of England has gotten word of the siege and is sending a relief force as we speak. Will Saladin change history today and take the city of Jaffa? Or will the defending Crusaders repeat history? Welcome to the Siege of Jaffa. Welcome, Knights of Apollo, to the historical Siege of Jaffa. So this is a mod for Total War Attila called Medieval Kingdoms Total War 1212 AD. And thankfully, because of this mod, we are going to be able to recreate this very awesome historical scenario. Like I said in the intro, this is the very end of the Third Crusade, and Saladin, he marches his army from the holy city of Jerusalem to do a bit of a surprise attack on Jaffa. Now, he realizes that there's no clear winner to this war and that it most likely will lead to negotiations, and he wants to seize a little bit of territory to kind of strengthen his negotiations, kind of give him the edge when it comes to, what he wants, in terms of negotiating. The reason he's attacking this city is because Richard I of England, who's kind of running this whole crusade, is away from the city, and they believe, Saladin and his forces believe they can take this city without his leadership there. But Richard gets word of this attack and quickly forms a relief force, and he's on his way as we speak to save the city. But will he get there in time? We'll see. Now, historically, he does by the very, here. Let me slow it down here because it's actually about to begin here. He does get there in time. It's very close. The attackers, Saladin's army, actually pushes the Crusaders all the way back to the citadel, but they hold out. Richard arrives, and Saladin's army flees, and they regroup, they attack again, and they fail again, which leads to negotiations, which leads to 3 years of peace between the Christians and Muslims. So that is how the story ends, but maybe history will change today. Maybe Saladin will be able to take the city before King Richard the First arrives, so the King of England. So, of course, no relief force is actually going to arrive, but essentially the attackers have an hour to take the settlement. If they don't, that just simulates, King Richard arriving with reinforcements. So let's go ahead and go to normal speed and just kind of look at these armies. So there's two Ayyubid. Why am I drawing Ayyubid? I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing it. I knew how to say Ayyubid, there we go. That's what I was going for. Ayyubid forces, so two armies. And on the defending side, we have the Kingdom of England and the Republic of Genoa, kind of representing these the Genoese crossbowmen. So very powerful, very useful, very important, historically speaking, in this event. But it looks like it's going to start here over on, this would be the left side from Saladin's point of view. So he's going to push forward and try to take control of this left side. There's really not much of a defense here. We do have some spear units, a lot of spear units too. Like, historically speaking, the defenders had a lot of spears and a lot of crossbows, and that's kind of what got them the victory throughout this fight for Jaffa. But yeah, they're going to kind of do a little bit of a sandwich maneuver here. We'll see how that plays out. We do have another siege tower over here that could potentially get around the two units trying to form a sandwich. But yeah, he's sending in his infantry, and pretty soon we're going to get our fighting going. Now, we do have some archer fire coming down as well on these spears, which is always cool to see. Very epic to see. And look at the trebuchet going at it right now. So the trebuchet is actually focusing its fire on some defending catapults, and they're desperately going to try to get this catapult out of there. They've already lost 2 machines, so hopefully they can secure these other 2, because it's going to be pretty vital to their defense. Now over here, it's a little bit of a slower of attack. It looks like most of the trebuchet is doing all the heavy lifting over here, but most of the ammo is gone for these trebuchets, so I don't think we're going to see much fire here soon. Now, there is a ram here that just knocked out the gate. And they most likely are going to send forward the infantry, but there's really nothing defending this area. Look at this, there's nothing. So he's completely given up some ground. So they're kind of using a scorched earth policy, so to speak. And now the defenders have changed up their defense. Instead of making a sandwich, they are directly sending up the spears to hold this breach point against the Ayyubid spearmen. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. And then we have more spearmen over here. They are kind of holding the stairway, which leads down from the walls. Now we've got more units pushing around. We got 2 units of, looks like sworded units, sword and shield, look fairly professional. They got some nice armor on them, so they look threatening. That's usually how, when I play Total War, I just look, it's all appearance. You know, I don't care about stats. No, come on. It's all about how the unit looks. If they look cool, they're probably pretty tough. That's how I think that's the best way to enjoy Total War. Once you get too caught up in the stats and what beats what, kind of destroys the magic of the game, you know? When you focus on just appearance, it makes it feel more lifelike, you know? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But nice little push here, and they might, yeah, definitely. I was going to say they're going to push a lot of troops over here, and it looks like they are. They've got some Mamluk Tabaderia and more spears ready to go, which definitely are going to cause some issues for the defenders. And now they're bringing the city to a flame. Oh, that's not good. That will affect the fighting effectiveness of the defenders, of the Crusaders, who are trying to hold on to Jaffa. More and more troops taking the walls, and they're going to go ahead and start. Are they going to run down here? Yes, it does look like they are going to run down and take on these English sergeants who are well equipped. Again, they look pretty cool. Oh yeah, look at the fighting. It's intense. Yeah, they're like, back, infidel! And then the other army's like, back, infidel! No, you're the infidel. No, you're the infidel. No, I'm the infidel. No, I am. Gotcha. Anyways, more forces are pushing forward. And we've got some spears on this side as well. Mercenary Welsh spearmen. So bringing the Welsh into this fight, as they are going to hold and try to form like a shield wall against the attacking Muslim troops here. And then we've got a force of more just this, it looks like the main core of the Ayyubid. The main force of Saladin's army, which is like this mace shielded unit. They look really cool. They look pretty tough too. But this whole section of this army is yet to fight. It's the complete opposite on the right side here, where they're more up in the face of Saladin's forces. You know, they're holding these front walls here. So we'll see. It looks like we've already got some breakage coming down from, or going on with the Genoese spears. I always just assume crossbow, you know? Genoese crossbow. Envy of the crossbow in the medieval world. But yeah, some really good fighting from these Mamluk Tabaderia. This is what they're built for, these Tabaderia. They are built to split skulls, but also split shields and break through defenses. Now, they also have a great charge bonus, so you want to try to implement that into your attack if you're using the Mamluk Tabaderia. and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, the Crusaders are holding strong for now, but they are starting to break, so it looks like these Tabaduria are going to break through. What's a great weapon against the Tabaduria? Crossbows or just normal bows. They're weak to archer fire. They are fairly decently armored just by their appearance, but they don't have any shields, so I think bows is what you need to use against them. But there is another layer of infantry here from Genoa. It looks very cool. I think they also have all period correct units, like earlier period, kind of pre. I mean, sort of. I mean, I guess the start of this mod is 1212, right? But it's very close to 1212, right? This is 1192, so it's relatively pretty close to 1212. So basically, have all early period units to represent the units in this time period. But yeah, this is a nice fight here. It almost looks like the defenders have the attackers a bit cornered, and they're releasing hell from afar. Yeah, they're dropping some arrows. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, they're dropping some bombs here on these attackers. So that's what you got to do. And historically speaking, not necessarily the Siege of Jaffa, so what happens during the Siege of Jaffa, of course, you know, the Crusaders barely held on. Richard shows up with reinforcements. The attackers break, but then recover, regroup, and do another attack on Jaffa, where Richard meets them right outside the city gates. So the second that's why it's referred to the Battle of Jaffa. It's not the siege, because the second round, it's outside the city, and Richard uses just endless barrage of crossbow fire to win his battle here, and just holds with spears in the front line. So very cool. It's cool to see that in this battle. But yeah, the Tabaduria have sliced through initial defenses. They are down to half strength, but they're still a huge threat, and they are still causing a lot of issues for these crusading defenders. Now, more and more reinforcements, probably much needed reinforcements. It's always good to have a nice shielded unit mixed in with the Tabaduria axe units, kind of give them that extra front line strength as they try to fight their way through these defensive lines from the Crusaders. But yeah, we've got more forces over here as well. Looks like a little bit of a sally out here. Did we oh yeah. We had a bit of a sally out here from the Crusaders. I like it. Unfortunately, we missed it there, and I do apologize, guys, but maybe we can watch the second half here as the Ayyubid, these mounted crossbows. Yeah, mounted crossbows, and then we've got normal, just like spear cab, very fast moving cab, trying to pursue the Crusaders, and just by the skin of their teeth, they make it back inside the city where there's some reinforcement spears ready to protect them. Man, what a fight. What an absolute struggle this has been so far. The attackers are definitely making some good ground over on this side. I don't know why the defenders are using fire ammo. That's going to be really risky because they can set their own village, their own city on fire. And look at already 33% of Jaffa has been destroyed, which is causing a morale loss for the for the defenders. You would think almost for the attackers too, because I'm sure Saladin and his army wants to preserve the city and keep it intact. I mean, I don't really know for sure, but maybe they'd rather see it burn than be in the hands of Crusaders. That also might be a possibility. But I was just saying, it'd be kind of a cool mechanic where if you are, maybe like in campaign, if you are attacking a city that was like once yours not too long ago, or maybe it's a similar culture, and if you burn down a lot of buildings, it negatively affects the attacking army too. I think that would be pretty cool, like the attacking force being disheartened that they're kind of burning down their own city. You know, I don't know. I think that would be kind of interesting. But, you know, again, like I said, some people would rather see their city burned to the ground than the enemy control it. But yeah, there's some intense knights fighting here. Heavily armored troops. It's intense. It's a struggle. Let's get a bird's eye view of the situation. Actually, we'll do one better. And there's that. Oh, nice. Not nice. Look at it. He hit his own building. He probably should not use fire. I think he should just use standard shot, you know? And, oh, what is going on here? Big cav fight. Okay, let's zoom out here. Yeah, it looks like the attackers rushed in some cav, but I think the Crusader infantry and Crusader cav were able to mostly push them off. Now, keep in mind, the Crusaders are represented with the red squares, so, you know, it's easy to get lost on who's who. So it does appear that that initial charge of the Mamluk Tabaduria is working, and they're carving out the defenders and gaining some very important ground in this siege battle. Oh man, this almost looks like a Hollywood battle. You know how in Hollywood, like whenever they have armies, like if it's a set in any period really, like with swords and shields, you know, any period in history, they always have them like in a mosh pit. You know, there's no front line, just everybody's hacking and slicing away at each other in like, you know, in a giant mosh pit. You know, it's, of course it wasn't like that. I think it could lead to that. I think, especially if you're like retreating, it could lead to that or whatever when your formation breaks. But it was mostly more like this, you know, where you had the front, two different lines. Crusaders are desperately fighting to gain control of this. It's not a victory point, but it's like a morale point. It's a capture point. So they're trying to hold on to it, but it does appear that the Crusaders have been pushed back, and most of their defenses are going to be gone. Now, the Crusaders do have some axe sergeants over here. They might want to just retreat them unless they're going to use them to kind of hold this street, which is a possibility. It's just they're going to be very weak to archer fire, so they got to watch out. Over here is kind of where things are getting spicy. The Crusaders are being stubborn here. They don't want to give up this pathway, and it makes sense because this street leads directly forward to the town center of the city of Jaffa. And then over here, we do have some barricades recently destroyed. Again, very light defense on this front because the Crusaders are taking more of a bend but don't break strategy where they're giving up some land. But I don't think they're going to hold... obviously, they're just going to hold the street that leads into the town center, which is all right here. They do have another force over here. Lots of archers. Look at this. 2 units of archers. We got all the citizens walking around. You got some axe sergeants, some spears. So we got a lot of reserves up here. And the nice thing is they can easily send them up to the town center without, you know, enemies stopping them. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But let's go back over here. Yes, sure enough, the Crusaders are using their axes here to defend the street. Now, I don't know why the attackers decided to charge in their cav. I guess they were like, whatever, maybe they weren't paying attention, but you're not going to beat axe sergeants that way, you know, with cav. But now, once again, dude, Mamluk Tabaduria going in, absolute champs, but I don't think they can last much longer. They're very depleted, but my God, the damage, the destruction. Absolute destruction with the combination of the big axes of the Mamluks and the archer fire. They're slicing through these axe sergeants. And then I'm seeing more artillery fire. Look at this. I guess at this point he's like, yo, whatever, 33%. Okay, well, good news is that there hasn't been more settlement damage for the defenders. They need to try to slow the bleeding, stop the bleeding, so to speak, and just kind of regroup here and not cause any more unnecessary damage to the city, because it will negatively affect them. And now they're sending in English foot knights. More artillery fire coming down. He is using fire ammo. Again, I personally wouldn't do that. But as long as it's accurate and hits the enemy, it's worth it. But it's a big gamble. So a big struggle. This is such an epic fight right here. I love how both sides are just so stubborn in taking this position. right, back over here. We've got major problems here. Major problems. So the Crusaders panic and rush over some knights to try to defend the rear of the other front we were just watching, because there is a massive river of angry Ayyubids running down this street, ready to you know, attack through basically get behind the Crusaders here. And now the English knights send in their mounted units as well. Ooh, fire ammo coming in, but they do get some friendly fire there. Also, it looks like the Ayyubid army is returning the favor, now dropping some bombs on the defenders. Oh yeah, there we go. You gotta use the archer fire. You know, you got to. Now, you can't be wasteful, but you definitely gotta use it here and there to try to help your attackers break through these defenders. But so far, it seems like the attackers are doing a really good job. You know, I don't think they've lost too much. I think they've got a great pace going on right now, where they're just like, you know, fighting, breaking through, fighting, breaking through. So if they keep up that pace, if they preserve some of their ammo for the late game, I think they're gonna do okay, and they might have a chance of changing history and getting a victory for Saladin. But the question is, how long are the Crusaders going to hold here, and how long do they want to hold here? I mean, when are you going to get to a point where it's like, okay, it's not worth it. It's not worth holding here. Oh, man. Is those Nafatoons? Oh, yeah. The Nafatoons are in it to win it. Oh, that's a problem. They've got to take out the Nafatoons. Now, it might have backfired. They might have just broke their own men. Now, keep in mind, it causes fear. Those Nafatoons cause fear for both sides. You know, that fire can be scary, and it looks like through just ferocious fighting, the Crusaders might hold on to this position a little bit longer, even with the Nafatoons thrown at them. And yeah, the Crusaders are now rushing over some axes, and look at this, they're even kind of pushing back. They're sending in archers who have no ammo. They are full on pursuing the retreating Ayyubid forces, who might have overextended a little bit too much, but they do have some more reinforcements. Oh, these are prime condition Mamluk Tabaduria, ready to go, ready to run down the street. So this is yeah, it's not like the Crusaders got a major victory there and wiped out this entire attacking side. They still have to deal with these guys, so that's going to be a problem. Let's go back over on the other side of the settlement, where it's a little bit calmer. Nothing too crazy going on here. We just have a small defense from the Crusaders holding back a small attack. I think most of the action is in the center, in the right. So we'll just kind of get a little view of what's going on here. He might even want to retreat some of these units, because all of his reserve force is gone. And it might be better to treat some of these guys and just kind of hold this choke point here, you know? But we'll see how that plays out. So here we go. Big push by the Ayyubid Sultanate as they are moving up their Mamluks, and this is the fresh Mamluk unit, and they're taking on archers, so this is honestly a field day for them. It's going to change here a little bit as some knights are being tossed in, but still, even with these knights in the front line, I still think the Mamluk forces are going to take it, because they're so fresh, and all these defending units are so tired and bloodied up. And back over into the center, man. The stubborn Crusaders not willing to give it up. But you know who else is also stubborn? The Ayyubid Sultanate, as they continue to push more and more men into this front line. Look at them just battle it out. Look at this too. Arrows coming from both sides. I love to see a fight like this. Just so even. It's just, you know, I don't know. It's just two sides not willing to give in, and they both have equal force. It's really not leading to anything. They're just both bleeding each other, and it's really going to come down to who bleeds a little bit more here. But yeah, a lot of archer fire coming from both sides. So very cool. And then we got, yeah, more crossbows moving up. I think they're going to focus a lot of their archer fire here. Now looking at the attackers, they do have some reserves back here. They still have a lot of infantry. This is still anyone's game. The balance of power is in favor of the Ayyubid Sultanate, but it's not so much in favor where the defenders have no chance. If anything, they still have a pretty solid chance of winning this battle. It's just going to come down. It always comes down to the final moments of these siege battles, because that's when you start to see mass casualties and a drastic change in numbers, because units get tired, archers unleash their hatred upon each other, and you'll start to see a lot of units begin to drop. You know, also you'll see the attackers get a bit more aggressive as they get towards the end of the battle, as they rush more and more infantry into these choke points. But now we've got some Crusader reinforcements. Look at these guys. Look at these lads. So cool. So bright and colorful. That's what I love about medieval armies. The banners, the colors, the sigils. Very cool. So here we go. Push, Saladin. Do it for Saladin. There we go. They're pushing. They're pushing. And the Crusaders, same thing. Come on, Crusader. Do it for Richard. Lionheart. But yeah, nice barrage of artillery fire, and we're actually seeing a lot of success here from the Ayyubid Sultanate. There are some knights here just kind of chilling. This is actually really genius. He's holding back here. Kind of gives a bit of an opportunity for the archers, crossbows, and the artillery to get some easy shots here without the fear of friendly fire. So if you're the Ayyubid Sultanate, you might want to charge in here now. I think he charged a couple units. Looks like they're trying to squeeze by the defenders. I don't know what's happening there. Oh man. And then, oh yeah, this is probably the biggest issue for the defenders right now. This massive force, which is mostly archers, but they've got crossbows who have full ammo. They've got 2 units of these Mamluk Tabaderia. This is going to be a major problem, and I just don't know how long the Crusaders can hold here before they crumble. And then we've got a unit that's broken through. What are they doing? Oh, they must have went through some Crusader defenses, and now they're breaking again. I assume the player, didn't realize this unit made it through, or broke through, like routed through, I should say. But the Crusaders are falling. Yeah, they are falling from these positions, and they are calling a retreat. These crossbows are wavering. They're like, get us out of here. There's too many of them. And now they fall back behind the spear line here as the Ayyubid Sultanate continues to push. Oh my goodness, look at all the mounted mounted archers, and also just normal cavalry all the way in the very back lines. It's being held back by some spears, but they're getting shot to pieces, and that's the luxury that they have here. They can use those mounted crossbows and just sit back and chip away at these Welsh spears. God bless them, but yeah, they're not doing well. And I'm looking around here, and I'm not a fan of this. Not a fan of this. The Crusaders, they have these Welsh spearmen that were originally over here. He sent them around in this way to try to flank. Let's see what he can get done here. We do have a general from Genoa. He's going to try to push in and, I guess, get a bit of a hammer and anvil. This might be pretty huge. If he can... Oh, wait, no. He's changing targets, going for this front line. This could help if the defenders can win this little pocket of fighting here fairly quickly. I think it's going to greatly increase their chances of winning this battle. But it's just, I don't know. The Welsh spearmen are outnumbered. I don't even think they are equal in skill against these units. And even with the general charging at the rear, I don't think that's going to be enough. He does another good charge here. Honestly, if I was here, I'd try to run through and get to safe safe position, but he's losing. Look at that. He's losing bodyguard like crazy. But it did cause a little bit of morale break here, and I think that might seal the deal here for this initial force. But is it enough for the Crusaders to win this battle? It's too close to tell. So really good fighting still, and this is it. Like, this is the final stand of the Crusaders. If they lose this, it's over. On this side, yes, they're getting shot up here by the mounted crossbows from the Ayyubid Sultanate, but they do have a lot of reserve cav that can delay a little bit longer, potentially beat back the enemy cav. They might even want to think about sending a surprise attack here. They might be like focusing elsewhere, and they might be able to get these crossbows by surprise. Who knows? But yeah, it's... Oh, and there's a fire starting over here, which leads this to 34% damage now. Still not a huge difference, just 1%. The Crusaders are victorious, but at what cost here? They sent over another unit of cav. This is English Knights trying to help out. So I like how aggressive the defenders are being with aggressive units. Obviously, cav is a shock troop, and they're trying to send them in and, cause some, do some hammer and anvil and break a bunch of units, but I just don't think they have enough to do it. And look at all these reinforcements coming in from the Ayyubid Sultanate. They just have so many troops pouring in, and I just don't think they're going to be able to push them back. And, oh, a lot of breaking here. Well... There's also breaking on the Crusader side as well. So I think we're on the verge of watching the Saladin's army break through the defenses here. Where is Richard? Richard the First, man. Where are you? Oh, troops are getting tossed around. It is a bloody fight, and now we have reinforcements coming. The crossbows are like, screw it! We just need to send numbers into the front line! Look at this! And these crossbows had a lot of ammo left, so they're just like, we can't. We just gotta send in bodies. We gotta send in bodies. And then over here, it's the same thing. This is it. This is all they have to kind of hold this force back. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen, as more and more of the crusading units are throwing down their weapons and fleeing. I don't know how they're fleeing. I guess they're looking for, maybe they'll just take off all their uniform gear and pretend they were just a civilian here and hope that the civilians don't get massacred. Or maybe they can run to the dock and get on a little boat and just row themselves like over here and run for it. I don't know. They're looking for a way out. The spears have fallen. The cav is now holding this back line, and they are just desperately trying to hold on to this front for as long as possible. For as long as possible. What a glorious fight. So we got a thin line of Crusaders holding this back line. I mean, is this the same unit? Oh, it's like they're glitched out on this little corner piece here. Doesn't really matter. Even if they weren't glitched out, they're gonna lose. I think it's quite clear here that, oh yeah, look at this massive push by Saladin and his Ayyubid soldiers. We're down to the last minute of this battle, and I just don't expect the attackers to chain route. I think it's the other way around. I think history is going to change here today, and the Crusaders will fall, and Jaffa, right? Jaffa, whatever, will be taken by Saladin. Which, what do you think would happen? Historically speaking, if Saladin took the city, what kind of negotiations would you expect? Do you think the Crusaders would have given up more territory, lose pilgrimage rights into Jerusalem? What kind of negotiation do you think, what kind of negotiation power do you think Saladin would have if he took this city? I don't know, it's interesting. It's interesting. I would assume that the Crusaders would have to give up more territory. Maybe they would still hold on to some territory, but maybe not. I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, it's all those what if questions can be anything, right? Who knows? History can change by the death of one person, you know, like drastically, which is so crazy. And there we go. The Naphatunes are causing the Crusaders to break. The Crusaders are breaking everywhere. And finally, the defense has fallen. So we get a Pyrrhic victory for the attackers for Saladin. Let's look at the end replay or end results. And here we go, guys. This was sent in by Cassius V. He sends in these awesome historical battles all the time, and they're so fun to watch. And it's a different, I don't know, it just feels different with these battles. It feels like it has purpose or meaning. It's just different. Anyways, great battle. This was a lot of fun. Let me just show you the kills of all these units. You can pause it and kind of see who did well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks again to Cassius for the battle replay. This was awesome. And I will see you guys next time on the battlefield.